I'm going to introduce to you now a gentleman who we in the military service refer to as a spook. Now, that's not a racial comment. That means he's covert operations intelligence. Jason Meszaros is from St. Michael's, Minnesota, was a captain in the U.S. Army Reserves and deployed to the Afghanistan in 2004. He served as the intelligence officer and psychological operations officer for operating mostly with special forces units in the special operations community. During his 15 years of service, he conducted intelligence operations in multiple theaters in the global war on terror. During his deployment, Captain Meszaros was assigned to a task force with responsibility of investigating senior Al-Qaeda, sorting through the detainees at Guantanamo Bay, and interrogating senior-level terrorists. His work and the work of his team led to the capture and conviction of several senior Al-Qaeda and Taliban operatives. He has been featured as a featured speaker on TV and radio, both local and national, and was honored to speak at the Richard M. Nixon Presidential Library on September 11th, 2009. He is the author of Interrogation of Morals, a book that is available outside. He's a good friend, a fellow warrior, and I'd like you to give him a warm welcome from Brainerd. Thank you.
I got it. Right. Thank you, Joe. I'd like to thank Central Lakes College, the Veterans Group, and then the Minnesota Freedom Council for putting this on. This is a wonderful event. We had a video to show, but I think in regards to time, we'll skip it. I worked with some of the best soldiers in the military, Navy SEALs, Army Green Berets, and I went all over the country of Afghanistan. We hunted and tracked these guys down, and we got them. And I've been in the interrogation booth with some of the highest level Al-Qaeda that we have captured. And I've literally sat with them and looked them in the eye, and I've seen the hatred. I know what our enemy wants to do to us. And I've been on that mountainside, and I've pulled the trigger in the name of freedom and liberty. And here's the lesson there. That's the part of war you can hear, as Colonel Bauman has alluded to. You can get that watching the evening news. That's the part of war that everyone knows about. But I've seen a different side of war. And it's the side that nobody talks about, and it's the side that you hear referred to as nation building. And it's the part that when you go into a country and you completely tear apart their infrastructure and you take them down and eliminate everything they have, you can't leave them like that. You have to build them back up. That's what guys like Colonel Bauman has done in Iraq. That's what we did in Afghanistan. And that's why I'm here tonight. I want to give you my unique perspective as a psychological operations officer, as an intelligence officer. I've seen the gift of freedom, and I've delivered the gift of freedom to people in Afghanistan. During my tour, I traveled all over Afghanistan, and I witnessed firsthand the delivery of medical supplies. When I was down in the city of Kaust, we had a mobile medical van, and they would go out to remote villages, and they would hand out medical supplies and vaccinate all the children in the village. One mission, the civil affairs team actually pulled together and managed to secure a dozen little red 125cc motorcycles, the kind that I grew up riding, and they got those for the police. They brought them over, and that's what they gave the police. And we had a huge ceremony one day, and they handed these motorcycles over so that they could actually follow the Taliban. So they could, because the Taliban, that's what they ride. They go all over the country on those little motorcycles. Now we gave them the ability to track them, the ability to follow them, give them chase. I was in the valley where Pat Tillman was killed a very short time after he was killed. And I was with the 3rd Special Forces Group, and we stopped in a remote village in the middle of the mountains. And we handed out clothing, and we handed out school supplies, and we handed out shoes. Shoes to kids that had never had shoes before. We had to show them how to tie their shoes, teach them how to tie their shoes right there in the mountains. And I want this to be clear. My story is not unique. If you seek out veterans and you find them, and we're easy to find nowadays, we have license plates. We wear our hats. We wear our jackets. We wear our badges. Joe's got his 101st Airborne on. You can find us. We're very easy to find. Look around the room, and you'll see them. Seek them out and ask them to tell their story. Because our power comes from those stories. It comes from our experience and what we've seen and what we've done.